Okay, so hi everyone. I am Jade. I'm JMC Anderson, which is my pen name. I'm an artist, a curator, and a facilitator, and I graduated with a degree in fine art and a master's in curation from NUA in 2017. Within my practice, I specifically challenge the artistic roles in connecting the acts of seeing and telling through the use of language and text-based artworks, and working with communities with a variety of mediums really, but mainly installations. And I'm really interested in collective collective thinking, the communication of language and its meaning making process, and also the finding your place as a citizen. So looking at your identity, place, and belonging, and exploring relationships built around those experiences and the experience built around those relationships. So to be a curator is, I suppose, to organize and program and take charge of an event. And the typical idea of a curator is someone that organizes exhibitions by either coming up with a theme or working to a brief given by an employer. But in order to really, you have to have really good communication skills and time management, but most importantly, you have to be able to collaborate with others. And if you were working for a gallery or other organization, you would need to be able to work across multiple different departments, platforms. And so the idea and meaning of a curator is constantly shifting. That is the most, however, you do get all kinds of curators who specialize in certain areas, and an event being curated doesn't mean exhibitions. It could, it be people curate in their everyday lives, and don't even know it. So curating could be curating your own personal objects, your bookshelf, those sorts of things. As a community curator like myself, I work with an array of groups in order to put on thought-provoking events where the community's voices are at the very core. I like to think of this sometimes as storytelling, but I thought the best way of explaining the work that I do, particularly as a curator, and my journey, and the way that it develops in relation to my artistic practice, is going through and showing some of the projects I've worked on and its influences. So First Sight, I worked at First Sight in Colchester as a program assistant, which was my first my first employed role within the arts. And when I left university in 2017, it was actually working here that really kick-started and opened up ideas for me around working with communities and collaborating with them as a way to produce and curate exhibitions and events that were of relevance. And I spoke to different types of community groups. But during my time here, I was offered to take lead on a project which was with young people aged 15 to 25. And this group was called YAC. First, I had started thinking about how communities could really be involved in the curation of exhibitions, and actually won the Museum of the Year award a couple of years ago for their work with communities. But I also just wanted to highlight their mission statement, which is to improve the well-being and life chances of all residents of East Anglia through innovation and creativity, to empower people, no matter their background, to be creative together and lead happier and healthier lives. Now, the best way we thought of doing this was to co-create and co-curate with different types of communities, where we had some control, such as the administration in the background, to support the projects, but everything else was, given completely over to them. So we gave over that ownership. YAC were So these are just a couple of images of how I got a couple of artists in to work with the group. But Yak ended up making and producing an exhibition with me called What's the Problem? Um, and what's that looked at the pressing issues facing young people today, including concerns around climate change, politics, capitalism, human rights, and health. To get to this, we had a few brainstorming sessions together. I ended up teaming them up with who you saw previously there, Flying Leaps. And Flying Leaps is a project that invites artists to produce work in response to contemporary events and ideas by creating posters that, that are then put in response to contemporary that are then put out into the public and urban environment in a fly poster like style. So Yak ended up creating a series of posters responding to two members' personal concerns, which brought those themes and ideas into stark focus, with designs incorporating text, image, and color. The artwork was produced through a series of workshops, which I did initiate with Flying Leaps and Mark Titchener, but we also had Heath Kane and Dr. D and founder Adrian Burnham using First Sight's year of the digital theme as an inspiration for that year. This was one of a few projects I had been involved in at First Sight where I started to really gain an understanding of the importance in access to places of visibility and the styles and modes of access for different types of community groups. In this case, it was bringing people into the process of making and decision making. And my time here led to, what did I do? Oh, my time here led to wanting me to explore further this co-working with groups of people, and particularly in making projects that have an impact with a focus on like the operation of art, how we work together, and the possibilities of collective thinking. With that in mind, I started working with the Young Norfolk Arts Trust in 2020, firstly as an administrator, and now as a coordinator for mainly the Young Norfolk Arts Collective, who are, well, Young Norfolk Arts, we provide young people and children with opportunities to create and engage with creativity and culture across Norfolk. And through regular, online meetings and training sessions, creative workshops, the collective then have the opportunity to collaborate and develop the skills and knowledge to enable them to produce and promote events. One of those events is our annual Young Norfolk Arts Festival, which happens in the first 2 weeks of July. And becoming a collective member is completely free for them. We recruited members to join around September and January, and all the projects that are put on are completely led by them. The way this works is that we usually have a lot of planning sessions again, and I go away and then take and I then program sessions around what it is the group would like to do in order to support them in the process. So I use the definition of the word scaffolding. So to scaffold or stage a structure used to support a work crew and materials to aid in the construction. So thinking about what your end goal is. So let's say an exhibition as an example, it's then thinking about what experience the group hasn't got and needs along the way in order to make this happen, such as having artwork and having a chance to meet other creative professionals in the field to gain a better understanding in the multiple different roles with curating and what it entails. And if you haven't used Miro before, so Miro is a visual collaboration tool used to create and collaborate and centralize communications. And we started using this in sessions because of the pandemic, and found that actually using this online platform can really help with our outreach. So I definitely suggest having a look at that if that isn't something that you have heard of before. So again, members of the collective have the opportunity to produce, promote, and manage creative events and exhibitions, learn and develop new creative skills alongside professional artists, enhance their CV and learn more about creative careers. They also have the chance to record and document projects through film, photography, blog posts, podcasts, and radio broadcasts, become an ambassador for youth arts and cultural development in Norfolk, and work towards a bronze and silver arts award. I did have a film, but I don't think we'll go into that because I'm not sure if this will play, but I can definitely talk about it. So I have a real passion for, helping people get to where they want to be and learning new skills and gain access to the arts, which I think is really evident from the work and the groups I've worked with and what I've done so far. So I just wanted to show this video that I had co-produced for Festival Bridge in Norwich last year, but you can see the link there at the bottom, and what I might do is you might be able to find it somewhere else on the Together Culture website, or email them. So we've got to co-produce this for Festival Bridge in Norwich last year, and I did this with a few other young creatives, where we went out to different areas in Norfolk to meet even younger creatives to highlight some of the challenges facing young people in the region and how creativity can in turn benefit them. The film covered some of the key issues in the creative industries, ranging from education, funding, and health to culture, community, and inclusivity. It was written, filmed, and edited within a space of a few months. So it was really a really quick turnaround. And I started to think about my own mixed heritage as someone that is Black and British, and the lack of opportunities there were for someone from my background in being exposed to the art world. And this again had stemmed from the exhibition I was involved in, working at First Sight with the Black community in Colchester, and artist Elsa James, and the exhibition was called Super Black. So I definitely recommend having a look at that, which was a pilot creative activism program. As well as a pilot creative activism program I created for Young Norfolk Arts, which was called Megaphone. And Megaphone was to use creativity to talk about the issues that matter to them, their peers, and their community, and to really amplify their voice through the same style of working as the Young Norfolk Arts Collective. So I am taking into account what I have spoken about so far. It's all really, but the journey has all really influenced my work, and the development of making. And as an artist and curator, you're always thinking about your audience, but you also want to be putting things out there that people can really connect with, that things that really speak to them, to bring people together to talk about issues, also, voice concerns and have conversations. So for Norfolk and Norwich Festival in 2021, I created a proposal and managed to secure a small amount of funding from them to put on a project called I Am. The form of this project was it was engaging with the public in some workshops to then be invited to participate in a walk-in performance through the city centre. And the work was the remaking for the I Am a Man poster. That was a declaration of civil rights during the Memphis riots in 1968. by the striking African-American sanitation workers, and was subsequently, taken up at the Martin Luther King Memorial March after the activist's assassination. And it was used as a personal statement and as a declaration of independence against oppression, challenging centuries of dehumanization. And then later on, conceptual artist Glenn Legan's work, which is untitled I Am a Man, 1988, captured and explored the slogan to really confront the themes of like language, identity, race, and sexuality. And due to my interest in stories and narratives and identity, this particular project focused on the power of language and also celebrating and embracing and highlighting diversity and culture in Norfolk by questioning what is identity and what is mine. So I held 3 I Am workshops, one for the Norfolk Black and POC Creative Network, 2 were open to the public during the festival. And in these sessions, we went over where those slogans originated and how it has been changed and used over time to apply to the present. This was to really help create an awareness and development of cultural understanding within the Norfolk community, but also taking what I had learned around the idea of scaffolding. I then started to break this down further into these points to help aid my projects and workshops. So share values, experience. So discover the opportunities by learning what you can about those you're collaborating with, their needs and desires. Gather data you haven't about your market, including analytics, the economy, trends, and technology. 2, analysis. So define your opportunity by looking at what you have learned and look for patterns, themes, and insights. The next one is share dreams and vision. So providing a space for adding and sharing ideas around the opportunity. It also helps to post these on a wall using sticky notes or Google Drive or Miro, like I suggested earlier, which suits whatever suits you, I suppose, in the group. So you can move items around, writing a clear list of opportunity statements or objectives that you could stick to throughout the project. 4, develop strategies, tactics, and plans for action. So setting clear deadlines by looking at your timeline and working backwards from that date, the event is supposed to take place, and identify the problems that need to be solved. Test, so that one's quite obvious, but it's, being sure to listen to feedback without getting defensive and looking for ways to make your idea better, make your program or structure better, whatever it is that you're working on. And then number 6 is take action. So turning your developed plan, ideas, and strategies into action. But these points really helped me structure the workshop projects and workshops so that there was clarity, and for those I was working with to feel comfortable in talking openly and honestly. And in the workshop, everyone had an I Am billboard. We used, a relief printing process to finish up, so they could finish off the I Am a Man sentence, or I am sentence, sorry. And the comments I got from those that, joined me, what was that they felt incredibly empowered, which was exactly what it was supposed to do. Some even saying that they feel more confident to express themselves, which is great. But that's just a small insight into only a couple of things that I've done over the, through my journey. There's so much more that I can unpack here, but this is really where my methodology really started. And I would definitely recommend looking at theories and reading books around theories of how to work with groups and how to give over some control. You've got to take risks, you've got to experiment, otherwise you won't be able to develop and push forward. But yes, thank you for listening.